Is everybody in? Heavenly Album Covers is about to begin right now. So, at the beginning of the last episode that we did, I was talking a little bit about the Doors and how I really like the Doors, and I listen to the Doors a lot. But I'd always wondered where they got the name, the Doors. And as I stated last time, the Doors, three of the Doors minus Ray Manzarek, used to work on construction sites. And they used to have to install kitchens and bathroom units and things like that. And one day Jim Morrison noticed that they had to install doors, and he thought to himself, boy, oh boy, that's a great name for a band. And so the reason that they're called the Doors is because they used to install doors on construction sites. Here we have a bunch more albums and album covers. There's about 11 album covers coming up right now. And let's get going and take a look at Pat Benatar's cover for her album Precious Time. Here's Pat Benatar. She's a famous singer. She's still very popular today. This album is a little bit scratched and beat up, but it still looks good. And here she is, possibly waiting for the mailman to come and bring her magazines and letters. And she looks really great. This cover looks hand-tinted. It's mostly black and white, but her top is tinted purple and her makeup is tinted. And I'm sure after she got her magazines and mail that she went upstairs and made some soup. And she's also on the back cover. She's hanging out at some kind of bar area here with that stool. There's a stool here. The inside of the album, on the inner sleeve, there's pictures of the guys in her band, and it's kind of typical of the era, just to have kind of new wave layout here. Here's the main guy, Neil Giraldo. I think he and Pat Benatar are married, and he did a lot of the music, but I could be wrong. This is the great Gene Pitney, and Gene Pitney could sing anything and make it sound like a hymn. He was real emotional and almost a perfect pop singer, and he did everything. And I assume he's not around anymore, but he might be. And he became even more popular in England than the U.S. After his main career kind of faded. And here's Gene Pitney. It's a beautiful close-up picture of him with a blue lighted background, and his hair is lightly blue here. He's looking like he's deep in thought, and just a great photograph. This cover is a little bit beat up too. Even the lettering is really good. And I don't think there's much on the back. Here's all-around entertainer, actor, comedian Jim Nabors. If you're a regular person who goes to a lot of record bins and record stores, you might have noticed that there are very many Jim Nabors albums in record bins and record boxes. You just can't believe how many records Jim made and distributed. And this album is on Columbia Records. It's called For the Good Times, which is a song. And this is from Jim's TV show called The Jim Nabors Hour. He does Detroit City, something by George Harrison, and he just put out lots of albums. Here he looks pretty good. He's wearing looks like an uncomfortable coat jacket, and he was one of the best smilers in the business, and I think he's on the back too. This is a still from one of his episodes, the Jim Nabors show, and here he is in some kind of white circus outfit, I guess, and there's some ladies bending over backwards for him, and looks like the cover design was by Anne Blackford, and the cover photos were courtesy of CBS Television Network. Next up we have the kind of amazing Tommy Roe, because he put out a lot of catchy songs in the early to late 1960s. Sweet Pea, the title of this album, I think, is a great song. It's a very interesting song, and I think these are all Tommy Roe hits here. He even does a cover of Under My Thumb by the Rolling Stones, and the only problem I can see with this album cover is that Tommy Roe's hair is kind of drooping down this way. It's on an angle. I think he just needed some hair gel that day, and but he does have a good sideburn thing going on here, and so that's Tommy Roe. Let's put these up individually. There's Tommy Roe with his guitar, and he's leaning on a tree. You'll notice that a lot of album covers have the artist leaning on a tree. Okay, let's put these back. So many records there. They've got a life of their own. And here's Frank Fontaine, and Frank Fontaine had a beautiful singing voice. He was almost like a Irish tenor, and but he made his living by pretending that he was drunk. And wherever you saw Frank Fontaine, you would know that he was pretending to be drunk, and he was pretty good at it. And he was also on a TV show pretending to be drunk called The Jackie Gleason Show. And here's Frank Fontaine. He's goofing around. He's his hat is kind of all off kilter here. It's a great album cover. It looks almost I don't know. It's almost too good, really. His head is life size, or bigger than life size, and there's Frank Fontaine during a time when he was not pretending to be drunk. But Frank Fontaine was basically a comedian and a pretty outstanding singer. Here's Aretha Franklin, another great singer, and this is her double album called Amazing Grace, which is a classic sacred gospel album. It's got all the major gospel songs on it, and Aretha was just perfection. She could sing almost anything, and it would come out great. This album only has one of the records, but that's okay. It's got a great gatefold, and this is still a top seller. It still sells a lot of units. There's Aretha. Looks like she's putting her feet in ice water. So that's Aretha Franklin. This is yet another album that shows up in record bins everywhere. It's called the Partridge Family. I think that's what it's called. It might be the scrapbook. No, it's called the Partridge Family album. So the title and the name of the group are in the same little sentence. And here's a little picture of the group on a musical notated imagery thing here. And for some reason it points out the name Shirley Jones and David Cassidy here. I think they were the most popular Partridge Family members at this time. But you can find this album anywhere. It's in retrospect, it's not really a great depiction of a scrapbook. here's some, I don't know, this is some yarn or something here on the side, and they try to reproduce the texture of a scrapbook here, and it kind of doesn't really work, but it was the Partridge Family, so who cares? And there's some photos here on the back cover. There's Shirley Jones, David Cassidy, and the rest of the group. This must have been their first or second album, and they were a total creation of from the minds of record producers in Hollywood. Every album they put out was a tie-in to their TV show, but the songs feature really big musicians from the Wrecking Crew and other places. So there's a quality on this album and other Partridge Family albums that is unmistakable. And next up is big hits from Columbia Pictures. There's a super lot of text here in the middle, plus more text, plus text by these women. This is Kim Novak again, and Rita Hayworth, both major Hollywood stars at the time. And this is on Tops Records. It's a beautiful cover. It almost uses every color in the rainbow, and it's very nice, I think. There's nothing on the back. I have no idea what this album is, but it's called Film Spectacular, and this is a list of all the tracks from particular movies, and there must be 80 different tracks on this album. It's a lot of text here, just a lot of text, and the title, even though it's up here, is a little bit lost. This is on Phase 4 Stereo Spectacular mode on London Records, and there's the text again. It's just a big amount of text for one album. It has a gatefold, probably with more text on it. Yeah, it's got a lot of text, photos from movies. There's Audrey Hepburn. It's just it's an album that has a big burden on it. There's a lot of expectations for an album that looks like this. And finally, there's this album. It's a soundtrack called The Promise, and these people are, I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're by a tree and they're gazing in each other's eyes. Maybe they're sharing a cigarette, or maybe they're eating food and they're sharing food. I don't know. They're wearing very heavy clothing, and but they still look like they are having a good time here. I've never heard of The Promise, but it was popular enough to have its own soundtrack. Those people were Kathleen Quinlan and Stephen Collins, big name movie actors, and this is on MCA Records. I think they're holding each other's hands, or maybe this guy has, maybe Stephen Collins has 4 hands. Looks like there's at least 4 hands here. I don't know. They might be contortionists of some sort. So that's Kathleen Quinlan and Stephen Collins.